Hello there. How do you do? What's up? How you doing? All right, take four. It's gotta be the one. How you doing? The name's RobMosq. This is probably the first time that you're hearing my voice. Not sure if it is or it isn't what you expected, but yeah, just happy to be acquaintance. I wanted to make this recording, you know, to firstly just say hope everyone is having a merry holidays and a happy Christmas. Yes, I did intentionally say it in that order. No regrets. Yeah, besides that, I hope everyone that did see the universal gift art that I made earlier in the day, I hope everyone enjoyed that and hope everyone had some, you know, was able to have some cheer and some spirit, you know, lift up that frown of yours. If the holidays isn't going too well for you, I hope I hope this gift card may have brought you some cheer and optimism and positivity. Yeah, it actually doesn't stop from there because what I have today is something that I've actually worked on in the crunch time of between 2 to 3 days before Christmas. It is a quote unquote short fiction story, or I guess the right term is a flash fiction. This is a flash fiction of a holiday themed story that is actually my third attempt at rewriting this since I've actually wrote this piece back in 2019, but it was even shorter. It was only roughly like 5 pages, and there was obviously a lot of grammatical errors and just a lot of bits in that story that could have been expanded. There was a lot, there was a lot to take away, and it gave me like, it actually gave me that kind of boost, that kind of confidence to just really like push forward and like try to like create my own form of like expression when it comes to writing and basically just kind of create my own like finesse towards the stories that I write. And yeah, just I hope that everyone enjoys this holiday themed story that I wrote, and I'm sure there'll probably still be, some grammatical errors in this piece. Maybe some things could be fleshed out more. Unfortunately, I'll never know unless, I get that sort of feedback to anyone who's interested in telling me how they like the story. With all of that out of the way, here is Blossom Warmth, version 3. Quite some time ago, but right around your age, kiddo, there was a sleepy little town, Benin. A little cluster of rustic clay, brick, and wood homes nestled within miles and miles of crisp pine-scented vegetation. On any ordinary day, life simply progressed in Benin. Residents wandered across the streets, say their greetings to one another, and go on their merry way. Of course, as I say this, I do miss the days when a greeting doesn't earn you a cuss off, or the look of vile disgust from rather unmerry people. However, that's neither here or there. What mattered was, around the holidays, Benin brimmed with life. Compared to the plastic props and neon lights you see beaming at the mall at night, Benin around the holidays was like a workshop away from Santa's workshop. Handcrafted streamers glistening under the warm golden lights across the town center. Goofy mural doodles of elves, Santa and his reindeers patted down every foxwood window pane of every shop imaginable. Aromas of crisp pine, chestnuts, and sweet cherry pastries dancing in the air. Traveling vendors strolling house to house, hankering folks for some cocoa and a moment of their time. Candy canes, glass ornaments, and of course, the snow fluttering down from space above. Coziness and cheer were welcome traditions for the town of Benin. The only real time people can unwind and mingle for a month. Visitors swinging by to lodge in with family and friends. Oh, holidays. A time to share with those special, or bundle up cozy indoors with a warm mug in hand. Days of joy rolling up bundles of snow from the streets to build a friend, or stare from the windowside for hours, counting every snowflake you see. A town tradition to put a pep in everyone's steps for the holidays. It takes me back to a time, kiddo. Back to one whose steps were made especially bright. Frederick Dillon's. Ancient old tree he was, thinning hair and frail, spotty skin, well past the golden years with a wobble and 1,000-year-old eyes. Yet every year, whenever I leave my house to run around the wonders of the town center, who would I see? Oh, just Mr. Frederick strolling the scenery, huddled into himself, clothes covered in snowflakes. Mr. Frederick and I always met up at the same entrance to the town center to take ganders around the place. You'd think if you celebrated enough Christmases, you'd grown sick of it. Fortunately, I was never one of those kinds of folks. And it seemed Mr. Frederick wasn't the type either. He'd always start our conversation with, "There's something about the way people come together during these times, you know?" Followed by the kind of warmth that makes one wish the times would never end. I was a youngin' around the time like that, you know. I never quite got why he'd always say that every holiday. He'd never speak any further about the matter. So naturally I naturally blew off his jibber jabber and dragged Mr. Frederick by the sweater sleeve to keep strolling with me. He never seemed grumpy nor reluctant anytime I kept tugging on his clothes or charged at him as a hello. Beneath that brittle cracked structure was a smile that could convince the world he's doing all right. Mr. Frederick did his best to keep up with my rambunctious spirit before I had to go back home for the holiday feast. While that was all well and fun, my last holiday with Mr. Frederick was a time I could never forget. On a frigid, chilly evening as usual, I would meet the old tree circling around the entrance. I charged behind him and he just managed to catch himself before we both tumbled into the frosted pebble flooring. He says those lines again while staring at the local Christmas tree star. I thought it wouldn't hurt to ask, so I asked him, "Mr. Frederick, why do you always say the same old line every year? Feelings like these would never end. The holidays would always be here for everyone. Everyone would laugh together in the cold every year. Why?" Instead of an answer, the old tree shook his head at me, slowly getting a kick out of my question, hearty chuckling. He set his hands on his hips, turning to me when I asked him that. Still without an answer, Mr. Frederick simply rustled my hair, kneeling down to me. "It's just jibber jabber, kiddo," he reassured me, chuckling at my slight worried face. "You promise me it's just jibber jabber?" I asked him. "Honest, kiddo, honest," he doubly reassured, raising his hand as a bow. Though we did routine as usual, I was still quite hung up on an answer from Mr. Frederick. I wanted to know why he'd always say the same old thing. Well, I would get my answer near the dead of night. Life was settling into their rustic lodge homes for the night. While mom and dad were occupied in the kitchen with holiday feast prepping, I sat by the brick fireplace, bundled up in my blankie. With all the lights off, the brilliance of the crackling fire enveloped the living room in a warm embrace, on top of the warmth from my blankie. As the pendulum from the grandfather clock swayed about, it got progressively harder to stay seated upright. With my eyelids growing heavier by the minute, half an hour before midnight felt like a century going by. My head jerked back to place probably 4 times, trying not to fall back first into the carpet. It wasn't until a firm knock at the door shocked me back to life. For the first time in all the years I've known Mr. Frederick, he came to visit me at my house. Covered head to shoulders in snow with icicles growing down his thin gray beard. I saw the same beaming smile still on his face. There was so much riding through my mind, I panicked when I realized how gray and chilly he looked. I took Mr. Frederick by the arm to help him warm up close by the fire. The family heard the sudden commotion and hurried over asking if I was alright. It was the first time my family had ever met Mr. Frederick in person. All they ever knew of him came through my stories about him and me. Finally getting to see the old tree for the first time, the family helped Mr. Frederick stand upright, exchanged greetings and asking him if he would like something warm to drink. Mr. Frederick simply shook his head, giving his thanks. I had my worries for when we hung out together, but that gesture drove my worries back up. I told him it's alright. We had plenty drinks for a party's worth. But he simply chuckled, shaking his head again. I appreciate the gesture. I do. But I didn't come here to stay for too long, Mr. Frederick said. I only came here to express one thing. My gratitude to your youngin' right here, he said to my family. Gratitude? But why? I thought. All I ever did was bump into the old tree. Dragged him all around the shops and bakeries I ever wanted to see, pushing and tugging him like he was my age. I didn't understand what gratitude he could have had. But just like he never elaborated for saying the same old thing every holiday, Mr. Frederick never explained further what he meant. He knelt down to me, patted my head, then gently left the gift near my feet. My thanks, from me to you, were the last words he ever told me before he disappeared back into the snowfall outside. Next morning, I picked up the gift in my hands. Mr. Frederick's words stuck to me throughout the night. With a light sigh, I tore the gift wrap open. A fuzzy friend with mittens greeted me with a slip of paper between his paws. Dear Adam, in my lonely wanders, you knew where to find me. In my darkest times, you knew how to bring the light back to this old tree. In my dwindling time, you knew when to shift my focus away with your glee. Many thanks for bringing life to me every year till the very end. Merry Christmas, kiddo. Frederick Dillons. And yes, I hope everyone enjoyed that. As always, hope everyone has a Merry Holidays and a Happy Christmas. And yeah, if you enjoyed this story, just let me know just what you liked about it. What more could you want out of this story? And just if you're ever interested in, maybe seeing future holiday stories or more, storytelling recordings in general. So just with all that said, thank you all so much, and here's to the good year. I'll see you later. Till then.